Hello everyone, can you hear me? I'm checking with my phone the comment. Hello. Seems good. Okay. So today I will use Sodebisha as a opening and seems good. Okay. Yes. So let's start. So this is my account. I will play with 10 minutes today. Hmm. Okay. So let's start the game. So Sodebisha is not a very popular strategy, but it's a very good strategy. There's no good countermeasure yet, I think. Hmm. And I'm happy if I can find some good countermeasure from the opponent. So let's see. Something. Maybe there was no opponent. So today it's Sodebisha. So the first problem is whether I can push the pawn already or just wait one more move. It seems possible to open here. Bishop to 5-5 was also possible, but a little risky for the opponent as well. I will just play the natural development. I don't know yet how the opponent will play. So I will create the Nakazuma shape. And the good point of this strategy is that you can always use the same thing against almost all opponents. This is kind of Aikakari now. I just go up the silver until the 5th rank and open the bishop's diagonal and attack from the front. I think already it's not a bad position for me. The attack will be very simple for me. Just going up the silver and drop the pawn. I don't know if it's necessary, but and I push twice these pawns, and I can attack the second file, or I don't know if I should go up immediately. He can also go up the silver, but maybe I can. If he goes up the silver, I will open my bishop's diagonal. And already on the next move, I can also open the bishop's diagonal because of the fork. I will say it on the next move. Maybe he should push this pawn, I think, to prevent the bishop drop here after the exchange. The rook exchange doesn't seem so strong here. I can push the pawn twice, or open the bishop's diagonal, or something else. It seems enough to push twice these pawns, but I'm thinking if there's something I don't see yet. So the rook here is always possible, but if he drops a pawn here, just coming back here is not so strong. So maybe pushing this pawn first and then bring back the rook directly to the second file will be better, I think. I see one line. I'm not very sure how to play, but I wanted to drop the pawn here, but it was better, I think. But opening the bishop's diagonal is also, seems also natural. On the next move, I will drop the pawn here and push the pawn to 2-5, 8-5 maybe. I'm good. So this position already, it's a little easier for me to play, I think. Pawn drop here and pawn drop again here, and going up the bishop here is possible, and this is my concern here. I'm not very sure, but it's also very risky for the opponent, so I don't think he will play that. If he just wait, then I will drop the pawn here. So I drop the pawn here, the bishop comes here. Go up the silver and exchange and drop the silver here. I'm not sure which one is winning on that position. Very risky for both. But I should just drop the pawn first. The bishop here seems very scary. So the rook here was a good move, I think. I'm afraid of this bishop, but it's so risky for the opponent, so if he does that, he probably thinks that the position is already difficult and he should change something. Now it's safe. I can stop the bishop's diagonal with pushing this pawn here, so now there's no danger on this shape. And here, one more waiting move. This is a very important move. The king can run from here to here. 6-9, 4-1 to 3-1 later. So if I push back the pawn, he has the option to attack the edge, but I also can attack this file by getting some more pawns. So just pushing back, both were possible. Just pushing back or ignoring. I don't want to push this pawn twice too early because it creates weakness on my camp. Very big weakness. So I can say that now the position isn't bad at all for me, and the strategy is succeeding. Not very sure how to get a clear advantage, but I want to bring the king here and create a more strong castle with the gold here. Then I can sacrifice the rook whenever I want. If he just waits, I go back the gold. If he drops the pawn here, then I'm not sure, but the fight will start. I've changed my mind. I wanted to go back the gold here, but there was this pawn. So I'm now trying to attack when the pawn was dropped here. So now already I can start the attack. Or waiting one more move. I want to play two more moves. The king here and the gold back here. And if I can play those two, then it seems better for me. So now the castle is completed. I don't have any concern on my castle side. So now I can start the attack. I think this is a good timing. I don't know if I should have pushed the pawn here, but still. Redropping the bishop somewhere. Here, here, here. It's not easy to defend. If the gold goes here, I push the pawn or go up the silver. Maybe just pushing the pawn seems better. So the bishop, the opponent will drop the bishop sometime later, and if the rook goes here, the bishop promotes here. In that position, if the pawn was already pushed, then I can attack this file with the rook. So I want to push the pawn. The position is clearly better for me. Seems like a good example of the Sodebisha, and why it's so difficult to play against Sodebisha. He didn't play a very bad move, but at the end, the position was already difficult. Hmm. Now I have several options. Just exchanging and drop aiming for the pawn drop here. This knight jump is severe. The pawn promotion. Maybe he will drop the pawn here, I think. But it's okay for me. Stronger than just taking the knight. So now the defense is so difficult, so I'm close to the winning position, but still I need to be careful. Not completely over yet. So maybe I should just... if I get the horse, the attack will be stronger, so... and I will take the lance next. So not taking this gold too early is very important. If he takes with the king, then he can run the king somewhere. Now maybe I will take and... sacrifice a token first.
3分
Taking with the rook seems good. And I will drop the lance on the next move. Maybe he should drop the pawn, but my attack seems much faster. If I take the bishop, there's already Sumi on the next move. So now I'm winning, I think. So let's go to the analysis, and I will read a comment before that. Pushing on 5-5. I don't know what position, but so let's start the analyze. Here. So until here, it's a very natural development. he should. So it's difficult for him how to play, and this reclining silver with the rook position here, the balance isn't so good. If he played this, the rook should have been here. But it's difficult. At first, it seems better to keep the rook's control here, but if the position develops, then now it was a little difficult for him how to play. And creating the Yagura was also possible, and it will be a different game. Maybe I will have the chance to show later. And this is just a natural development. And I could have dropped the pawn here, and I should have done that. If I drop the pawn here, I was afraid of the pawn drop here. And if I take, he will take, and if I drop the pawn, I was afraid of this kind of move. And if I take this, the silver comes here, and the rook will be attacked, and everything will be defended by the opponent. But I didn't see soon in this position that once he jumped to the knight here, I can jump to the other side. So it was safe to drop the pawn here, I think. So I did now. And again, so the actual game, I could create a very strong castle, so it was easy to play after that. And here, I was very scary here, because my castle isn't a very strong castle yet, and the rook is targeting the silver. And I was afraid of the bishop move here, so I don't know if I made some mistake until here. I just played correctly, but some order wasn't very accurate, but I don't know. Sorry. The gold is here, the silver is here. If the silver takes, then I will take the bishop, and he will drop the silver here. Very risky for the opponent as well, but taking with the bishop and attacking the rook is one idea. Maybe he didn't like this position. I just always attack the rook somehow, and then take the bishop. And if the bishop exchange, no, the rook exchange happens. Sorry, I take with the bishop, and if the rook exchange happens, I don't know if I should drop here or here, but maybe here. So this position, my castle is also weak, but maybe it's better to take the knight. And like this, for example, it's weak, but I still have the room to escape from this side to the other side. But this exists, and maybe there's already it's already very dangerous. There could already be Tsumi, so maybe he can't choose this line. It's too dangerous. For example, the knight is working very well, so this is Tsumi, for example, but this is just an example. But going up the bishop, I was afraid of this move, but also risky for the opponent, so he didn't choose this. And now against the bishop here, I can always close the bishop's diagonal and push the pawn, for example, or after closing the bishop's diagonal, I can also go up the silver here. Now there's no silver drop, so it's much more easy. And I think from here, he should have attacked somehow, pushing this pawn here or this pawn here, and just dropping the pawn here. It's not severe yet, but if I take, then he will drop the pawn and try to take the lance. If I ignore this pawn, there's nothing yet, But for me, it's a little mm, difficult to castle on the left side, my king, because it's already the attack already started. So maybe he should have done something like that. And I wanted to create the shape I played in the actual game, but maybe the order I should have done the gold here first or the king here first. Now there were this move. Like this I will just lose the knight, so maybe against this move I should go back the gold here, or exchange the pawn here first to create the space for the knight to jump like this. Maybe this is better. But still, this or this, much difficult than the actual game. The token is very scary already. With one rook, this will be over. So, mm, maybe I made a mistake here. But he didn't play this. He just waited, and I could create the ideal shape. And from here, my castle is too strong, so he could also take the big pieces from me, but after taking the rook, it's still very strong, the castle, so maybe this was better, but still, just the lance here, or the pawn here, and it's too strong. So after launching the attack, my castle was strong, so it was easy. Around here, where? Sorry, the pawn to 5-5, I didn't see. Where pawn to 5-5? Just pushing the pawn twice to pawn to 5-5? No, I will never play this. There's no reason to close my bishop's diagonal. I wanted to attack with the pawn here, so it's not a good idea. Okay. So let's move on to the next game. I will change. So again, I will play Sodebisha. And now this is ranging rook. I can already push the pawn, but this pawn push will be strong, so I just castle. Now I will create the Anaguma as well. I'm thinking if I should push the pawn already, but maybe just creating the Anaguma is enough. The silver could go up here. Maybe it was a little risky. The silver here was the safest move, but I thought it's okay, so I didn't choose that. Mm, so now, I first thought about going back the king here and let him take this pawn. But yes, I will do so. Now I will just exchange the bishop and go back the silver. It's completely different game because he did Anaguma. It's not a usual game of Sodebisha already. And now I want to go up the silver, but the shape isn't so good, so I want to create a better shape. The dropping the bishop here was also possible, but he dropped here. Jumping the knight I want to play, but going up the silver seems safe, but I want to jump the knight here. So it's a little difficult. We'll just drop in the bishop here to play a normal static rook position. Maybe this is better. If he drops the bishop here, I will drop again the bishop here. If he pushes the pawn, I will also push the pawn. Going up the silver seems a little risky here. I'm not sure, but he can take this pawn, but there will be a weakness on the opponent's camp. If I jump the knight, maybe he will go up the silver, so I just play safely still. Now maybe he will go up the silver. There will be an attack on the knight's head. He didn't do that. I don't want to drop the bishop. It's a difficult position. I don't want to drop the bishop myself, so maybe he will go back the bishop once and go back here and use the silver this way. It's a little unusual to play this kind of move. So already this is not a position I wanted to play. The opponent is playing well. Now I need to play very patiently and wait for the chance. Now the position is bad for me. The opponent is playing good. Maybe the idea of exchanging the bishop earlier was a little risky and I should have played differently. But still, it's not completely bad yet, so... So it's a little unusual moves. I want to push the pawn, but this square was weak, so I defended with a silver, but not the way I recommend for you to play. I wanted to push this pawn. So now it's a matter of my defense skill. If he has one knight to drop here, it's already over, so I need to play very correctly from here. I will play quickly. Going up the bishop here will be severe. I will play this move. So if the knight was dropped here, it was over, so... I tried to play naturally, but I couldn't, so the opening was already risky for me. Maybe there were better development, but the bishop here was also good, I think, for him. So it was not a good idea to play this position already. But still, the game continues, and I don't clearly see how I will get very bad from here, so still difficult. Especially for this time control. But at least very difficult for me, and I can't find any attack on the opponent's camp, so I need to play defensively for several more moves. The rook should go here. If I go up the rook, then the pawn drop is too severe. The rook will come here, and I drop the bishop here or go up the gold here. I don't know which one is better. So to win the game, I need to play much quickly from here. So the pawn drop here is my only attack possible again on the opponent's camp. So maybe if the rook exchange happens, or or something, I can drop the pawn here. But I don't clearly see the very severe continuation, so this is just a possibility yet. So my main aim from here is going up the gold here and not taking the bishop immediately, but dropping the pawn here. Gold and pawn. And I can take the bishop or the silver for free. This is too heavy. Now I have more chance, I think. And he will promote the bishop. He didn't. So now I don't want his bishop to promote, so a little heavy. I lost the lance, but he used the knight, so the bishop can switch the diagonal here. So I don't let him do that. Now I have much better chance. I don't really want to go up the silver now, but maybe I don't have other option. It seems like I could reverse the position. The bishop goes back here. And I don't know yet if I should drop the knight here or something, doing something else. But he doesn't have enough time, so maybe it's rather a difficult position for him. I can take with both. I can let him drop the silver here, but maybe it's better to just take with the rook. This is too slow. My pawn promotion is faster. And the rook came here. I want to push the pawn already and try to attack directly the opponent's king, but maybe this move is safer. The dropping the pawn here was a little dangerous. That he can drop the lance. So if I can take the gold and use that for the defense, then it's clear that I'm winning. So maybe he should drop the pawn and go back the dragon here for the defense. But since he doesn't have time, it's a hard decision to play that. Now he wants to drop the rook here, but my castle will be too strong with the gold here. The token or the rook, but the token seems better. And I still have time to play slowly. I can drop the pawn here always, so the lance isn't so scary. So now the position is clear. My attack is too simple, just dropping the bishop here. It's nothing.
3分
I can also drop the pawn here once, but I don't need to do that. Yeah, I could somehow reverse the position, but the game wasn't so good for me. It was bad. Hello. Hello. So let's do the analysis. It was natural until here, and I don't often see the opponent playing Anaguma. And since it's clear that silver will go here, here from here, so maybe I should have just done something else. For example, going up the silver first here, and if the silver comes here, I just press the pawn. This position was better, I think. Hmm. My castle is already completed, so the actual game I need to finish the Anaguma, so I needed several more moves and I couldn't just switch to the attack, so maybe I took too many moves. And if I did this, I should have attacked first from this move. Or again, just going up the silver here. So this silver is a defensive move again, always against this move. I don't want to close the bishop's diagonal. And from here, if the opponent does nothing, I can switch to the. I can develop to the Anaguma, Silver Crown Anaguma, Ginkamuri Anaguma from here. So I still have the option to play Anaguma. So I should have first completed the Silver Crown and some time later put the pawn here to go back to silver here. You always go for Anaguma when playing Sodebisha? No, no, never. Almost never, but only if the opponent played Anaguma. So the idea is always the rapid attack, but mm, against Anaguma, I thought I should play the Anaguma as well. So I didn't expect this move. I saw this position. I let him take the pawn. If the bishop goes here, escapes here, then it's over with this pawn. The check and the silver take. So I will go back the bishop here, but it's scary. But with no other pieces like lance or knight here, there's no strong attack from here, so I can attack from this pawn. So this is the position I was thinking, but I didn't expect this pawn push because this square seems to be a weakness. Maybe pushing the pawn and going back to silver was a little risky, but I didn't see any other option. The silver was also possible, and I didn't clearly see how to play from here. Just like the actual game, going up the gold. So this means to protect the pawn and going up to this side and chase the silver. But still, it's difficult. I don't know if it's a good position. Yes, the actual game was also difficult. If I drop the bishop here, like the opponent, his bishop will be more active. For example, he can use this way, but my bishop is completely useless here. So I let him take the pawn. And on the next move, he will go back the bishop and just push the pawn. He could have played even now. The bishop works with the silver going up to this side and attack this pawn. And there's pawn push here, so I should do something here, but I didn't find a clear solution. So, and this is also good. I wanted to go up the gold here, but after he goes back to silver, then the pawn push and the bishop promotion will be severe. So I pushed this pawn once and waited. I wanted to push the pawn and exchange the pawn and chase the bishop, but I need to I needed to protect this square. So yes, I wanted to do this, but and if I exchange the knight, then the knight drop here is too scary. It's almost over. I lost too many pieces. I will lose too many pieces. So and I just played patiently. This position is bad. But it was still a little difficult how to continue from here. Maybe there were better option, but I didn't clearly see how he should play from here. It was natural to going back the bishop, but the knight here was too heavy. Maybe the rook here was better, I think. But first I can attack the bishop like this, or this bishop drop is also possible. So the idea is, I don't know where the rook should escape, but the idea is promoting the pawn, and if I take with the silver, he will drop the pawn. If I take with the rook, then exchange, and the opponent's Anaguma is much stronger, so this is not good for me. So I was afraid of the rook here, but this was a little heavy. And from here, I think this was a good move. If I chase immediately this way, the bishop can escape here and promote. So I prevented this. And from here, there weren't enough pieces to break this castle. He went back the rook, but if he continues with the rook here, for example, it's not enough. So he should have played this way, but still, I'm better. The rook went back to the opponent's camp and just like this way, for example. My castle is still safe, so at the end it was clear. And I just let him take the rook and create a fork. This was clear, but that this move exists, but this gold isn't working, so it's okay to give him that. I just took the gold here, so there's no material disadvantage, and the end game was clear. So, so the opening wasn't good. The opponent played better, so I played patiently and could somehow reverse the game. So let's move on to the next. What's this? The sixth player, a strong player. I want to play against a strong static rook player and see how he will play against the Sodebisha, but he opened the bishop's diagonal, so I don't know if he plays the static rook. He just played the third far rook. I will play. I've never seen this move, and I don't know what he's aiming for. We'll go back the bishop and bring the bishop here. So already I need to be careful. But I think I can let him do. This is not what I expected. Seems already very dangerous. Seems like I can already get an advantage, but it could be a trap if I push the pawn. I don't see any. But he will change the rook's file here. Seems like not the actual 6-down player is playing. I was wondering if he played something I don't see yet, but now the only thing I should worry is where he will use the engine. Not the engine Kishin, no. Gold here or pawn here. Pawn is enough. The gold here seems enough. The gold here is also possible, but maybe nothing happened. There could be a Tsumi, but I don't. I will not analyze this game. Let's continue. It was a little weird development, so. Seems like the top of the board isn't in the screen. Seems good now. I didn't change the settings from the last time, but and 3-down player. Many people just play third fire rook. I want to see the silver climbing, but he didn't play that. He should stop the bishop's diagonal. So, an important thing, always ignore this pawn, never push back. So there's no reason to push the pawn now, and no reason to push back the pawn. You will just lose one move. And so if I just play these moves, then the bishop will come here. So I can also open the bishop's diagonal, but I'll first prevent the bishop to 5-5. And on the next move, I will already attack from here. This is already an important position for the opponent. Just pushing the pawn seems better. Seems correct. If I push this pawn, then he will push the pawn. This is also possible. And just pushing the pawn seems a little risky, so I will just open the bishop's diagonal. I will show later why it's risky. It was still possible, but with the bishop's diagonal closed, my castle is much weaker than it looks like. Now it's a slow game. I don't know if this attack works. A little early to bring the rook here. It takes, and I take with the silver, and he will bring back the rook here, and I think I can't break through this file yet, so I need to play just slowly. There will be bishop drop here, so I need to prepare against that. He drops the bishop. This position doesn't seem so bad for me. Maybe he will just promote here, not here, I think. If he promotes here, I will push the pawn. The pawn push, the meaning is a little difficult. But it's a good move. It's a good move. So now I need to think carefully. I thought I'm clearly good, but this position is still difficult. I don't know how to play from here. I thought at first I'm clearly better, but I don't see a very good continuation from here. So, this is a technique. I will surely take one more pawn later, so I will attack the edge with that pawn. Now the position is slightly bad for me. A good Sandan player or partly using the engine maybe. Not the engine, the Kishin maybe. A very good Sandan player, a little too good. So now my only hope is dropping the pawn here and dropping the knight here. And getting some pieces here and attacking from both sides. But the pawn drop here seems too strong. I don't know if I have the chance to do that. I think if I exchange the rook I will lose quickly, but I don't have any other option. The pawn here is better. A difficult move though. Not a Sandan player if he drops the pawn here. It's too difficult. And if he drops the pawn here, I need to surrender soon. This is also an unnatural move.
3分 2分30秒
Too quick.
2分
Hmm. Okay, so let's analyze the game. Yes, at the end, probably some moves seemed like Kishin, but still. Mm. So I wanted to push the pawn here, and he can't play this move right now. This is the reason I pushed this pawn here, but he can also push the pawn now, and if I take, he will take with the bishop, and it's very hard to defend this lance. If I push the pawn, there are several options. He can even take this pawn, but now there's a counter attack like this. Maybe it's a little risky for him, so maybe he will just drop the pawn here, and if I take, then the bishop comes here. Or he can also drop the pawn here first, and then bring the bishop here. So it was too risky without opening my bishop's diagonal. My castle is still weak. And then it and this move was a little early. I think he should have played a different thing. And I wanted to first play to switch to the static rook, but I thought there are weakness. But even if I go up the silver, it will be just an exchange, so I can't get a great advantage here. It's difficult where to escape the rook. There will be a bishop drop here, but if I go here, the silver fork will be strong. So I just play slowly, and already pushing the pawn and dropping bishop and pushing the pawn here. These moves are professional level moves. 7 done of the amateur moves. Maybe more than 7 done. With and going up the board. Everything is very strong. So this is a good technique I used. So the position seemed a little bad for me, and the bishop promotion will be very strong here. And if I can't find any good attack, I will just lose. So I try to attack from the edge, and like the actual game, when I get to 2 pawns, I can drop here and drop the knight here. And I got the first one, and I wanted to get the second one from here, so this is why I played this move. But the horse is already working very well and in this very strong position, so even if I take one more pawn, I don't have the chance to do this attack. The opponent's attack will be faster. So if I take the pawn with the silver, then there are several options, but my silver is hanging, so he can somehow attack my silver like this way, or it's too early that the gold will be hanging. So, or just a pawn drop here. I can't take with the gold because of the fork. If I escape, then go back the bishop and drop the knight here, for example. There are many possible moves from the opponents, but maybe I should have taken this pawn. I went this way, but the pawn drop was severe. This is also a very good move. Very strong move. If I take with the gold, the horse will come here to attack the rook, and if the horse moves, then the knight drop here will be possible. From here, already, for the strong player, the game is almost over. If I take with the rook, then he will drop again, and finally he can take the silver, like the actual game. I can also take back the silver, but the rook's position is too different. And if I take with the rook, then he just drops the pawn here and promote here. And I can never use the rook, so I exchanged, but the correct move was this, I think. It was... I think it was the best move here. If I take with the rook, then if I exchange the rook on this square, then the rook drop here is too severe. If I drop the rook here, then he takes and drops the knight here. The actual game is also good, but this is not a move that the old, player can play. So I'm not sure what move was Kishin, but surely this move was. So at last it was too difficult for me to win this middle game, but maybe I should have changed something. But for the Odino player, this position doesn't seem so bad. So I think I didn't make a great mistake, and maybe already here these moves are too strong. So yes, in this game I couldn't show a good example. Yes, so let's move on to the next game. Godan player, I will use the Sodebisha again, and now this is against Central Rook. So the timing to exchange the pawn is very important. Sorry. I'm thinking if I can exchange the pawn here. Maybe not yet. I will explain later. This is a very important problem. So against many strategies, just creating this shape is usually the priority. I don't know what is happening if I do this. Jumping the knight first or promoting the silver first? I think this will be a good example of Sodebisha. So I understand what he wanted to play to punish the Sodebisha shape earlier, but it doesn't work so well usually. So this is one of the reasons why Sodebisha is strong. If he drops the silver, I will go up the rook, and if he goes up the rook, I will promote the knight. I think it's okay. Promoting the bishop,
7分
silver drop, and taking the knight is also possible. Now I think I saw a good move. Oh, he just took. I was thinking about the different moves. I thought he drops a silver here, and I saw a good move from there, but he didn't play that. He should drop the pawn here and drop the silver here or here. And I'm still thinking. There are several options, and I'm still thinking which is the best way. I can take with the bishop or the rook. Both could work, and both I will have the advantage, but I need to be always careful. The castle isn't very strong, so he surrendered. But so let's see. So until here, it's just an usual opening, and I wanted to play this pawn already, but I need to be always careful about the rook exchange. And if the rook exchange happens, so usually the rook exchange against the ranging rook is bad for the static rook side. I can also defend like this, and there's no space to drop the rook, but it's easier for the opponent to create an attack from here. For example, bishop to 5-5 or bishop to 6-6 and attack the edge like this. The castle is stronger and more flat, and so I didn't want to exchange the rook, and I can also drop the pawn here, but the bishop comes here and protect once with the silver, and this pawn will be taken. So I thought it is uncomfortable for me. One last thing, I can also do this kind of counterattack. Sometimes this works as a trap, but here the bishop here target the lance, and if I protect, then he can protect this pawn. So it's just not a bad position for the opponent. So I didn't play immediately and went out of silver, always doing the same position. The rook can also take, but I wanted to advance the silver. And this is important to go up the rook. If I just advance the silver like this, then you should always be careful about this move. Then it's hard to protect this lance. The rook will be stuck on the edge, and I can't jump the knight, the pawn drop here, and this is also too passive. So I first went up the rook and jumped the knight. I understand that he wants to attack this rook and the knight at the same time, but it created a weakness here. And finally, I could use the bishop, so it's better. So the idea of pushing the pawn and bringing the rook here and attacking the rook failed in this game, and it doesn't succeed usually to just punish this position. Since the bishop exchange didn't happen, it's easier. It's rather easier for me because there was no bishop exchange and bishop was somewhere, so it's easier to read. And if he drops the silver here, I will just escape the rook and let him take the silver. Now the bishop can promote, so it's okay. And I was thinking about this move. If I take the gold, he will take with the gold. And if he can take the silver, then it's okay. So for example, this is not enough. This position is risky for me. With this move, this kind of move or this kind of move, it's still difficult, but compared to the position a few moves ago, it's much more difficult. So here I need to find something else, and just taking the lance, he will take the rook and take the silver, so it's not good. And I found this move here. This is why I chose this line. If he takes with the bishop or the rook, I can take the gold. If he takes the rook, I will take the rook. And the silver should escape, but I have the turn to drop the rook here. So I saw this move, so I was sure to play this position. So, and finally here, he should have played this. If I take the rook, drop the silver here, and try to take the silver. But still, I can just escape the rook here. He can't take with the silver, I can take the rook. He will take with the bishop, but I attack again the bishop this way. Or when he dropped the pawn here, I can also take with the bishop and take the knight, lance, and take the knight and bring the horse here. My castle is still safe, so, and I have material advantage, so this position is also good for me, but he should have continued with this. And He still had a chance from this position, I think. But at least I'm better, so it was a little early, but the position was better for me, I think. Yes. So let's move on to the next game. Maybe I will play 2 more games today. Five down player. Unusual strategy versus unusual strategy. But Sodebisha is a little rare, but a good strategy. It's difficult. If I go up the silver, he will push the pawn, and he will not let me go up the silver, going up the silver here. So I need to play differently. This is already difficult. This is also tricky. I can't take, the rook will come here. I don't know if he has the experience with the similar position, because it's too quick. I've never seen this countermeasure. Very, very difficult how to play. I don't think it's a good idea to bring the rook here. Now I see what he is aiming for. He will bring the silver to 5-3 and attack with and push the pawn to 3-4. Bring the silver and counter attack from this file. If I push this pawn, he will push the pawn and bring the bishop back. Maybe already pushed the pawn. So this is a tricky move. Maybe he should sacrifice the bishop and take with the silver. If he promotes the rook, I will jump the knight, but I'm not sure. I'm not so confident. He should just promote the rook. Just dropping the bishop. It seems too slow, but jumping the knight, he will go up the silver,
7
so
分
I don't really want to do this. Seems too slow, so but I couldn't find anything else. He will probably just take the knight, and I promote the bishop and drop the pawn here, for example. And seems like his attack is faster. I could have taken this pawn, but not enough pieces yet. The pawn drop here seems reasonable. I couldn't play well against the strategy I've never seen, and I don't know if it exists. I've never played with this strategy, so but I never recommend to do as gote for you. It could be a possibility, but I don't recommend. It's too unusual. But I couldn't find the. So for strong player, it could be a possibility, but the pawn drop seems the correct move. The knight drop and the silver drop is also one technique against this castle, but it seems a little too early. He can also just take the lance and drop the lance here. I don't know what I should do in that position. Maybe I should just go out the bishop and take with the horse. It's not just the attack. I want to drop the pawn here. Shut down the rook. So this move is seems correct. Now it's risky for me to do this. It seems like I will lose with the bishop here, so I can't play that. Then it's difficult what to do. Just taking the knight isn't enough as well, so if I take the knight, he will take the lance. And he will drop the lance here and drop the knight here. And the attack will be too severe.
5分
5 a heavy move. I don't wanted to play this, but I couldn't find anything else. A heavy move. I don't know if the study like this opening already exists or no. But I still try the best. Taking the knight or taking. I want him to drop the pawn first, and I will take the knight and take with the pawn with my bishop. But yes, this seems strong. The silver drop. If I go back the king, I will not lose immediately, but after taking all the pieces, he will just drop with the pawn here. And I think that position I will have no chance, so the knight.
$3分
If he promote the knight, I will drop the lance here. The gold here is too severe, so not a good game for me. But this is the first countermeasure I've played against, and I could have gone up the king as well. But gold here.
$2分30秒
Not completely losing yet.
2分
2 I'm playing patiently, but still difficult to reverse the position. Take the knight and promote the bishop, and then he will escape here, and still it takes many moves to capture that king, so I think maybe the opponent makes some mistakes going up here or escaping here.
1分30秒
I'm not sure at all. Maybe here was correct. Oh. Yeah, he played the endgame very well. Yes, let's analyze. I've never seen this countermeasure. Maybe a little too early to push this pawn because it was countered this way. Maybe if I didn't push this pawn too earlier, but I can't see the aim from the opponent in this position. I wanted to go up the silver, but after this position I can't go up because he can push the pawn here, so I stayed here and continued the castle, and I still didn't see. And if he just attacks this way, then the pawn is hanging, so he protected the pawn with the silver. And if I push the pawn here, he pushes the pawn here, and the bishop diagonal stays here. So, and these two pawns could be a weakness later. This space, so I didn't play that. And I wanted to play slow this way, but he can go back the silver, and this is too passive. And the exchange, if I exchange the rook, then there's no space to drop the rook. I can drop here later, but I can't take any piece here, so I didn't want to play that position. And if I drop the pawn here, he will already sacrifice the bishop and go up the road like the actual game. I don't have the pawn, so it's not easy to defend. If I go back to silver, then he will drop the silver again, like this. I don't know if it's bad for me, but too risky. So, I've never seen this strategy, but I think this countermeasure exists, or someone already studied with the engine and found this strategy and played somewhere, and this is now known amongst some players like that, I think. Because the move order is too systematic, and all these counterattack, which could work usually, but didn't work at all. So mm, mm, he prepared well. So this is not a strategy that the ordinary player could come up with. So maybe some very strong players study, or even with using the engine, I don't think it's possible to find this kind of countermeasure. It's okay that I couldn't play well against this strategy, but I don't know how he found this. Because the engine will never show this move here because it's not the best move, I think. So maybe some amateur strong player did this before, I think. It was interesting, but I don't recommend for you to use this strategy unless you're more than 5 done. Too unusual, and it's a good strategy for strong player maybe, and I should play differently next time, but I don't recommend so. Okay, so the final game today. No, this is not an usual countermeasure that not a top level amateur player could come up with just with by their experience. It's impossible, I'm sure. Only by the experience. At least 7 dan player it requires as a ability. So the idea, I can understand the idea, but every counter attack from me was didn't work. So I think I can exchange the pawn. Seems scary, but I think there's nothing here yet. So it was interesting. I'm still talking about the last game. It was interesting, but the rook here, bishop exchange, so the bishop here. If I can drop the pawn here. Go up the king and the bishop. I can also drop the bishop here. But I'm not sure. I want to play a safe move here, but a very safe move doesn't exist. It seems like everything is at least a little risky. I really don't know what to play here. Every
7
move
分
seems unnatural. I'm not sure I'm playing correct move. Maybe I opened the bishop's diagonal too quickly, too early. There's a meaning of this move. I will explain later. I think there's nothing really scary from here, but it's also unnatural. He can take the side pawn. This is the only scary thing for me. This is safe. Taking the side pawn was probably possible, and so now this is like the first game. I opened the bishop's diagonal a little early, but and I developed by going up the silver. The opponent's silver could come here now, but the rook can just escape here, and there's a space here, so not so strong, very strong yet, I think, but still possible. I can also go up the rook. Now I could create almost the same position as the first game. Maybe he will exchange and go up the silver, and I will push h-pawn. If he goes up the silver here, then I also go up the silver to protect with the rook's control. So maybe he thinks that it was not a position he wanted to play. Already a little difficult to develop the position without exchanging the bishop. And this is not what he wants to do, so he's thinking maybe he could go up the silver, and I should go straight up the silver here. If I go up the silver this way, he could exchange the bishop and drop the bishop to 5-4. He's still thinking. So I'm thinking if I can just go up the silver here. After the silver exchange, it seems a little risky for the opponent, so the silver here is a little scary for me as well, but I think there's nothing. Rather, there could be a strong counterattack for me. I think so. So I chose this. He shouldn't let me drop the pawn here, so maybe he should go up the silver here or here. But after the exchange, it's too scary in my view. Now it's a calm development. I will exchange the pawn here. He could go up the silver and drop the bishop here. So the silver could go up here and the bishop up here will be a little annoying, so I don't know if I can put pawn. The rook can't go here soon, so but yes, maybe I can. The silver at 5-5 is the only concern for me. Or the edge attack, pushing the pawn and drop the pawn here and drop the bishop. If I take, he will drop the pawn here and drop the bishop here, and I will protect the bishop here. I don't know what happens, but maybe he could drop the pawn twice. I don't know what happens here. I couldn't find an attack from the opponent. If he takes the gold and could trap my rook, I'm bad, but I don't find this kind of attack. And now my rook is safe. Now I'm clearly better.
5分
But before doing a strong attack, I think that create a stronger castle is better, but move the king. I want to play, but I don't think if I don't know if it will be much safer than the current position. I can surely take that one lance here, but I need to continue from that position, so I found an attack, but I don't know if I'm doing the correct thing. A little heavy to drop the lance. Seems heavy. I'm not so confident. If my moves were really correct. Still, I'm think I'm better, but I wasn't sure if my moves were correct. Hmm. Now it seems enough easy.
$3分
The dragon here. So, this is the last game. Let's analyze the game. Yes, so as Gote, it was a little risky. Maybe I should have just played, not opening the bishop's diagonal and just played. I should have just played this way, like the first game. It's still safe here. I can bring back the rook here. The pawn drop is possible if I take with the knight, then he will drop again the pawn, but I can always drop the bishop and take the pawn, so it's safe. And now, I played this move, but it was difficult this position. I don't want to drop the pawn here, he can take the side pawn. I can bring the rook after exchanging the bishop. I can bring the rook here, but this pawn I don't like. I want to use here, so I couldn't do that. I wanted to do this, but he exchanging just the bishop and drop here. The bishop promotion here is possible, so if I escape the rook here, then he will promote. This is kind of Yoko technique, and this is bad for me. And the only way to defend this pawn is the rook here, but the rook here is also possible. If I bring the rook here, he promotes, and I can't do a fork. The rook is here. And if I bring back the rook, he promotes here, and I drop the bishop here. He takes the side pawn. I can't take the lance because he will take the rook and promote the rook here. The gold is hanging after the rook is taken. So I will do this. He exchanges the rook and bishop, and now the materials are almost equal, but I lost too many pawns, and after he took the rook, there are more weaknesses on my camp, so I didn't play this, and I just play this. So this is the meaning is just bringing back the rook here and protecting this pawn with the silver. Mm. And I also didn't want to go up the king because so it interrupts the rook's control here if the my king is here. So now I need to do this kind of move, but I didn't want to do that, so I just went up the silver. It was difficult. Yes, some moves. Yes, against a strong player, I can't win by just the basic moves. So sometimes I play a very difficult move. But so now finally, I could create a normal shape. He should have taken the pawn, side pawn, but I can exchange the bishop and drop here or here. Or there are many scary lines. So I think he couldn't decide with. He thought carefully. Almost 2 minutes. So he wanted to maybe take the side pawn, but he thought that it's too risky. So, and this is the natural development from here. And just like the first game, I could create this shape. So it's a good shape for the Sodebisha. This is a strong point. Mm. And this is possible, but too risky. For example, I could drop the silver here. If the rook comes here, I drop the bishop again, and I take the gold and promote the rook, for example. So it's difficult if he escapes the rook here. Probably I will drop the bishop here and then target this pawn. I don't know if the silver is really working, but it was too scary for the opponent to go up the silver. And this is just a natural development. And he could have done this move. If I do nothing, then he would drop the bishop here and, for example, drop the pawn here later or soon. But against this, I was thinking of pushing this pawn. He can drop the bishop, but I drop here. Or, but this was possible. I think going back to silver here. So silver to 5-5 was a one possible move here. And so I was thinking if this was incorrect and I should have done something else, but I thought it's natural. But the actual game, he didn't go up the silver. And here, again, the silver to 5-5 was possible. And also pushing the pawn here and attacking this way. If I take with the knight, he will go up the lance, or this is already a bad shape. If I take with the lance, he drops the bishop and promote here. I can protect this way, so it's not completely over yet, but I don't know if this really works, but maybe the edge pawn was too much. Because against the bishop drop, again, I will drop the bishop here. If I drop the bishop here, then he will take and drop again the bishop here. Here it's impossible. I can go, but go here. This was also possible, I think. So the bishop drop was also possible, but I thought it's safe with the bishop here. Sometimes this kind of bishop drop and horse position here appears in the Aigakari and Yokohudori games. It seems that it's too defensive, but I took many pawns. So like the actual game, if there's no attack from the opponent, I will get a better position little by little from here. And sometime later I can sacrifice the bishop and target the horse so he escaped here. Mm. I wanted to create a stronger castle, but I don't know if this is really good. It's also approaching to the rook and the knight and lance, so I wasn't sure, and I could find an attack this way. So this is a very important idea, not just taking the pawn immediately, but if I take the pawn, it's just a lance exchange. But in this position, I already have a lance, and I can start the attack first. Mm. So not taking the lance and dropping the pawn and changing the move here. So it's a very important idea. Mm. Mm. I already have a lance, so I can ignore this pawn and uh, playing the attacking move. If he takes with the silver, I can take and promote the rook this way. So he took. If he takes with the knight, I can drop the pawn. He took with the gold, but the attack continued. I thought it's heavy, but I think there were nothing. I was afraid of this move, but here there's no good way to attack the rook, but because this zero is scary, but I can bring the rook here, and just like the actual game, it will just be an exchange of the rook and the horse, and I will get a material advantage, so it's not bad. Mm. Like the actual game, again, with many pieces. And please remember this kind of move. If the rook escapes here, then I just uh, attack from here. The king can't escape anymore. In the actual game, I could capture the rook. If the rook goes here, then I will again attack the rook with the bishop, for example. If the rook comes here, I will promote the bishop. He can take with the king because I have the gold in hand. So if I just chase the king this way, then it requires a lot more effort to capture this king. So the silver here. Only if I have many pieces. If I just have only one silver or just the silver and the bishop, it's not enough. I have the gold, so I decided to do that. And after this position, it was clear. Okay, so this is all for today. I lost twice today, but I could show some good example of the Sodebisha. The rating hasn't changed so much. So I'm happy I could show some good example, and against the Sandan game, I don't mind at all. But against the Godan game, in which he showed a very interesting countermeasure that I've never played against. Mm, mm. I don't recommend you to play that against Sodebisha, but it was still interesting. I don't know yet what was the correct move from me. Okay, thank you everyone. And the next time will be again on Sunday at the same time at 10 p.m. Japan time. I will fix it for the future live streaming. Mm. I'm a bit busy now, so I can't do the live streaming on weekday. I wanted to do one more live stream regularly on the weekday, but I'm not able now, so maybe later if I have time. And the next time, the fifth live streaming on next Sunday, will be Sangenbisha or Nakabisha. I didn't decide yet. Maybe Nakabisha, my favorite strategy. Okay. So thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.